Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. And today it is an honor and privilege to have the group Devil in the Belfry on the show. They have a new debut album that's out right now called Wandering Alone on W.H.B Records. And I suggest every horror punk rock fan out there, I don't care, just anybody, pick this up. There's not a bad song on this album. And I'll let the guys introduce themselves. So how's it going, guys?
Doing great, man.
Pretty good.
I'm Brendan.
I'm Jeff. We are the Devil in the Belfry, the two founding members, I guess, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah, we're going to get into that just a little bit here because I thought, this is pretty cool what you guys have done, actually. I'm pretty impressed at what you guys have done, honestly.
Oh, thank you.
So, guys, what's impressed you the most about making this debut album, Wandering Alone, or what's caught your eye the most about it, if anything?
I guess it was kind of like it was a learning curve for me, because I engineered the whole thing for the most part. I compiled all the mics and everything like that, and figured out where to record everything. So I learned a lot just doing that. When it came down to mixing, though, that's when we handed it over to my buddy Justin, who lives down in Texas, who did all the recording. But recording the album, writing the songs, it was kind of it was just a big learning experience because it was like the first time I really got to experiment with my own style of music, I guess.
Yeah, we did everything, like just about aside from mixing and mastering, 100% ourselves. So we did all the recording. Jeff, engineered it. I did all the artwork and just everything we did from writing right up through production. Again, outside of mixing and mastering, that was Justin. But it was like a steep learning curve because we kind of had to figure it all out as we went.
That's what took so long too. It took us about a little over a year, I think, to finally release it.
Yeah, from recording to release, it was a little over a year, like a year and 10 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So this is something that you guys weren't even used to at all. I mean, going through the whole process of this.
Yeah, I was in a band prior to this. We only ever recorded like a 6-song EP, and it was really rushed, and it was all taken care of in studio. We found like a local studio, so yeah, this is all new. This DIY style was all new to us, but it was a very fun experience, kind of like almost like winging it. It's exciting.
This album is out on W.H.B Records. Who produced this? I know you guys did it yourself, but did you guys actually produce this, or did you switch it over to somebody to let them finish it? I know you said the guy mixed it and all that stuff, but who actually produced this album?
I wouldn't say we had a producer in the sense of like, a producer would normally have some oversight on how it goes or like song structure or the content or anything like that. It was, if you want to look at it that way, it was self-produced. We just didn't have the ability to mix and master it to the quality that we wanted ourselves.
Yeah.
So we had someone else do the mixing and mastering, but they kind of mixed and mastered to our specs.
He had like some say on a few songs, like, hey, just like he kind of put his opinion in just to, because maybe, I hear this a lot, or, so he gave his opinion on a few parts. I think like there was like one vocal part that he said, oh, hey, try this. And I think we ended up sticking with it, actually. So, so he had like some say in it, but for the like 95% of the record is basically all us producing it.
Guys, are there any songs off this debut album that are standing out more to you than any on it? I know these are like your babies, but are there any songs that are particularly sticking out more to you guys?
I think so. Yeah. Which ones do you hear?
I think like Shadow Lurks and Bloodstains would be my two favorite off the album. They're just the most fun to play, fast, high energy. They hit pretty hard.
Yeah, I'm a fan. The Blob gets me every time. It's weird saying that because I wrote it, but like I just love the way it turned out in the end. So and then Wandering Alone, because that one's got a lot of cool little like guitar licks that I like playing. So those two, yeah, very high energy, and then like kind of Blob was a little more experimental. So I think those two stick out to me the most.
Like I said, I'm impressed with this. Wandering Alone's awesome. The Blob, of course, Crimson Eyes is great. Anywhere But Here. I love the breakdowns and the riffs in this album and these songs that you guys have done. I think a lot of bands, especially new ones, and I'm just going to say it, they don't do this. It's just, 95,000 miles an hour straight through. It's just nothing different. And this you guys are sitting on something special. You guys are something different to add to the horror punk genre.
Yeah, I think from the start, that's like we wanted to kind of mix things up a bit. We hear some things just become a little monotonous after a while, and
just do something a little bit different.
Yeah,
you know?
just try something new, something we haven't heard before. So we kind of took that idea and rolled with it and pushed the limits. And our drummer, who is on the album, Bobby, he was like a huge metalhead, very like progressive drummer, and we had this kind of punk idea we wanted to go with. And at first we were like, yeah, we want punk drums, we want punk, oh, very simple. But we kind of let him have a say in it and let him do his thing, and it kind of, the way it blended with kind of like a punk sound, but with very progressive metal drums, it blended so well, and I think it kind of invented a new kind of sound.
Yeah, he definitely shaped the sound a lot in just him not listening to anything we were asking him to do, and we're glad he didn't.
Yeah, we tried to mold him, but he wasn't having anything about it.
He was right. Good on him.
Yeah, he stood his ground.
How much growth musically have you seen this band go through since the formation of it and up to the release of this album, or has it just been more a personal growth for all three of you guys?
No, there's been a massive amount of growth. Honestly, I don't know the best way to phrase it. It's not that we got so much better as we just got a little bit smarter with what we're doing, I think.
Yeah, seeing what's out there and just kind of like observing everything, and then just seeing people's mistakes, or seeing how people react to certain things. We've kind of taken all of that into all what we were doing basically, and evolving from there.
That and all the time, just being on stage and being in rehearsal and stuff like that, you don't really have any choice but to get a little bit more proficient with your instrument, a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. At the start of it, I was a bass player. I didn't really even play guitar. It was kind of like a hobby. I just kind of did on the side. And Brendan was like, "Hey, I'm going to play bass." And I was like, "All right, I guess I'll pick up the guitar." And I'm not really, I was never considered myself a singer either. And just kind of, took the reins and went with it. And I guess it did, in the end, it worked out. And I feel like I've become a much better guitarist and at least a little bit better singer.
What do you hope the folks take away from this album once they start to listen to it, or just Devil in the Belfry music in general? What do you hope that they get from it, guys?
Fun.
Yeah, we want people to just kind of listen to it, or even just relate to it. Even a lot of the lyrical contents, it's kind of personal to us. I mean, a lot of it seems like it'd just be about like a horror movie or something like that. But there's a lot of, metaphorical stuff going on in there.
Yeah, a lot of it there is.
Some of it is just cut and dry. Yeah.
Still phrased to be just a fun song. And some of them are just fun songs. It's great to have music be personal and artistic and all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just as cool to have a song that's just really fun.
What helps keep your mind fresh and open to new lyrics, guitar riffs, stuff like that, to not make it stale to your guys' style of music? Because I know horror punk, man, there's only so much you can do, but how do you not stay, go to that route and be stale with it? Stay fresh.
I think a lot of that is our other influences musically outside of horror punk. Obviously, we all like horror punk, but we draw more from outside the scene than we do from within. So, like, throughout this, we were doing that, and even now, because we're working on writing a whole bunch of new stuff, and we find ourselves, instead of saying, like, how when you write a song, you kind of describe it as sounding like another band before it really takes its full shape. So instead of saying, like, oh, we want this one to be, like, heavy and dark, like a Misfits kind of sound, it's more like, well, what if we do some alternate or, like, really quick triplet picking or some odd riff, and it ends up being like, oh, this one's more like Pennywise or NoFX or something like that, so...
That's awesome when you hear Pennywise mixed in here with a horror band. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've got a vast, variety of influences, and it's like it's when you're riffing, sometimes your influences come out, when you like it or not. But it's good to not like sit down and be like, I want to write a song that sounds like this. It's kind of just what comes naturally. Don't push yourself to try and sound one way. That's kind of how I focus on my writing. I don't want my song to sound like someone else's song necessarily. Sometimes it just happens, like, oh crap, that I've heard that riff before. Whoops,
No, I wasn't saying like that. I just meant like vibe-wise or style-wise.
Yeah, but that's just kind of the way I take it. When I'm sitting down and I'm riffing, I just riff, and whatever comes out that I like.
Sitting there in the corner, just riffing off,
riffing off in the corner. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of how I like, and I instead of just musical influences too, there's a lot of like, pop culture and stuff like that kind of goes into the lyrical content and stuff. Like or like a certain image or a certain concept. and I I go with it instead of just writing songs just solely about movies, which has worked for all these other bands. Instead of doing, it worked for them. Let's try something new. So, I take like an idea or an experience from my childhood or something like that and kind of just go with it.
Or even just like books, stuff like that. Other
Yeah.
media outside of movies and television.
How much local support does Devil in the Belfry get from the fans that like you, venues, and radio play? I know you guys are just a young band and everything with Devil in the Belfry. And is there still a big community in your area of supporting horror punk music as of right now?
Where we're actually from originally, there's not really any
Almost zero.
we knew right off the bat, because the area we're originally from, where Jeff and I grew up and lived when we formed this band, was it's rural. So the market for punk, the places to play it, the odds of anyone coming out to listen to you or hearing it or taking any interest of it beyond there's noise happening right now is slim to none. So we just decided to start going out to Dingbats. It's not too far away. It's in Clifton, New Jersey. It's about 45 minutes or an hour from where we live. So we decided to start going out there because they do have metal shows, they do have punk shows, and every time I've been to most of the good punk shows in the state, it's been at that venue. So we wanted to start out there.
Yeah, it was a good call on our part. I think. Yeah, there's to be no draw out here, or like if you were managed to bring your friends out, they'd be like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, see you around. It wouldn't be like, because they're not, necessarily, unless all your friends are, metalheads or guys that are into punk. So
and you want to be exposed to people who's not heard of you either, to listen to your music.
If you're just playing to your friends, you might as well just don't even bother with the venue. Just have a party and play music.
Yeah, exactly, man. Because your friends are gonna like it. I mean, they're going, yeah. But you want to be in a room that don't know you.
Yeah, it's good. And since like a little year and a half now, we've been gigging with this band. The people we've met and the friends we've made has been astonishing. It's great. It's been quite the experience, and it's only been a little over a year now. I'm glad we pushed ourselves out that way and to meet new people and everything like that. So, and the support from all them too. Like we've met a lot of good contacts this way too. So it's been really good.
Yeah, it's actually when it comes down to it, that's probably one of the only reasons that we kept doing it is because we did get enough support to make it still fun, and because it's a lot of work playing music and being in a band, and it's a lot of work for not a lot of pay. So you need some sort of payoff. And if it's just like having someone that you've never met before enjoy your music, or someone that doesn't owe you anything, they're not your friend, they're not your family, just offering their support, even if it's just saying like, hey, that was cool, I dug that's the kind of thing that kept us going long enough to actually grow it into something a little bit more.
What can fans expect at a show from Devil in the Belfry when they come to see you guys live?
A lot of energy. That's our we try to put on a good show with a lot of energy. We want people to have a good time. As much as we're having a good time on stage, we want the people to kind of have that same experience. So I mean, that's what it comes down to: just having a good time at a show and enjoying it.
Do you prefer the digital era that we're in right now? I know you can record albums easier, get stuff out a lot easier, or do you like the old way, possibly just hand out flyers, stuff like that, like it was back in the old day, plus social media the way it is now? Do you like this that we're in?
I'm not even sure how to compare it. I'd like to say it's kind of the same thing either way, where it's just if you're doing it because you love it, or if you're doing it just your reasons can't be just that you want to be in a band and get big, because that's you picked the wrong career.
Especially in this day and age, you see a lot more bands in general. I don't know.
But the only thing I do say is that I think because of everything being so easily accessible and like social media and the internet just blasting people in the face with information constantly, it's really hard to get people to pay attention without actually being at a show. If someone goes to a show, they're going to watch you play. But even just putting your music on the internet and having someone listen to it, it's just like everyone's just scrolling. It's just endless scrolling.
Yeah, and like I said, like there are a lot of bands now that are doing that. So it's just like, oh, look, it's just another band, oh, it's just, I'm not even going to take my time to even, humor this. And it becomes just there's just so much of it. It's a clutter, So going strictly on the internet, like say we were to start a band and just strictly go on the internet, I think it'd be a lot harder to actually develop a following unless you're doing some sort of new, innovative, creative, as these YouTube guys manage to do it. So I don't know, but I think it's just a little different nowadays. People want like instant gratification and stuff, and it's just a little more difficult. Even though it's like it's easier to put your name out there because you have all these mediums, but it's cutting through all the other stuff and, you know, and making yourself stick out from the monotony of all of it, you know.
In your own opinion, guys, what does Devil in the Belfry bring to the table for music that's not out there as of right now, possibly?
Maybe like a refreshing experience in a way, you know, because people expect the same thing from horror punk bands, I think.
True.
And not that all horror punk bands are exactly the same. I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, when people think horror punk, they instantly go, oh, okay, Misfits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I want the bands to sound like this, or they come out and they're expecting to hear that sound. And I think we can push the envelope on what horror punk is defined as, and
or they'll just hate us and think it's not horror punk at all.
Or that, yeah, because, you know,
both are cool.
Maybe we won't register as a horror punk band necessarily, you know, but yeah, I think it's
that actually hasn't happened too much. People seem to be really supportive.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's just I don't even like to think of what we can bring that someone else doesn't, because that competitive mindset really is kind of counterintuitive to the whole being an artist thing. You know, it's we want to work together with people. We just want to write whatever we end up writing. We're going to try and make it, you know, the best we can. Always push our boundaries as far as writing and content and new things that we can do and try. But it's more about working together with other people and just making something cool as a collective, rather than, you know, what we can do that someone else can't. Because once you get into that, it's a losing battle. You can never do, you know, everything that nobody else does. There's nothing new under the sun.
For both of you, what made you want to become a musician? What was that spark?
I guess kind of growing up with it. I mean, it took me a while to actually pick up an instrument. I think I was a senior in high school when I first started playing. Yeah, it's just all the inspirational musicians that I listened to growing up and stuff like that. And knowing my friends who played, it was like, oh, that'd be cool to, like, you know, it's another excuse to hang out with your friends and have something to do. You know, we grew up in the woods, so it's like there's not a whole lot to do up here when you're growing up.
Yeah.
So, but in the end, it was really just being inspired by, you know, my personal favorite musicians and stuff like that. Like, be like, oh man, that'd be cool to just jam to one of their songs, you know, and connect with it that way, you know, actually doing it.
Yeah.
So.
And then for me, I'd say it's just a mix of, like Jeff said, just listening to great music growing up, needing to have something to do. A lot of my family has a musical background, so I guess that rubbed off on me when I was younger. And I've been really big into horror punk since like 2005 or 6, and I just remember going out to shows and just really loving it. And me and some of my friends would try and go out to, like, every time a band came through, we'd try and make every single show, and it was just a great time. So I guess there's like some sort of association mentally, subconsciously, of just between, like, playing music and shows equals having a good time, and that's just it. So
since this album has came out, is there a country or region that has surprised you guys of the support you've gotten so far? Or is there a show or moment that stands up more to you guys, possibly, as Devil in the Belfry?
Well, as far as regions go, I think we were surprised by how many different places it ended up. Like, one of my friends told me about this website. It's like, I guess, the Russian version of Facebook. And if you look up any band, apparently it's free for illegal download right there. And we were there. So it's like, oh, cool. I guess someone liked us enough to bootleg it. Which, yeah, I'm cool with it. Just listen to it. You know, you enjoy it, listen to it. But that and some podcast in Argentina just, like, randomly grabbed one of our songs and played them. Cool.
Yeah, it wasn't one place in particular. Yeah, it was weird and spread out.
The fact that it went any other places was kind of like, what, really? Oh, cool.
Yeah, you know, never thinking it would be anywhere outside the country, you know.
For both of you, if you could work with any musician, dead or alive, or one band that's broken up that you'd like to bring together just to work with them, who or would it be?
Oh, you got one in mind? I think I got one.
You go first.
All right. It's kind of like it's not necessarily horror punk or anything like that. Or Claudio Sanchez from Coding Cambria. I would like to work with him. I think that dude is incredibly creative, very talented musician. So to get the chance to do anything, or even comic book related, because he writes comic books and stuff too. Like, he's just a really creative guy that I would like to collaborate with. You know, obviously it won't ever really happen, but it'd be really cool too. Anything?
No, I really can't. Just the idea of, like, some random collaboration with a big name would be just, I don't feel like I'd be collaborating. I don't feel like I have enough to contribute to anyone that's famous enough for me to want to contribute.
That's
like,
a good point.
You got it. What do you need me for? I'm just going to get in your way.
All right, now you mentioned that you guys are writing on your next album. How much do you have written on it, or is it in the early steps, or no? Let's talk about that just a little bit.
It's early stages, but we have the skeletons of like, I don't know, 7 or 8, maybe 9 songs just floating around. You know, we have the rough schematic of the song. No real hard lyrics yet, but the chord progression and the structure is there.
Yeah, I'm learning how to program drums now too, so it's kind of helping the songwriting. You know, I can play around with what because we're not necessarily jamming with a drummer, every day of the week when I'm writing the music. So it's kind of cool to have that.
Yeah, Jeff lives in Montclair. I live out in New York, so getting together just to jam like we used to is getting tough. So we've switched over to like a digital format, just bouncing things back and forth off each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you guys are going on tour here very shortly, and Jess O'Lantern's going to be on there with you guys. Let's talk about that a little bit, where you guys are going to be going to, possibly.
Yeah, we are on the 31st. We're starting in Fredericksburg, Virginia. We're going to be playing with Savage Remains at the Bourbon Room. We're looking forward to that one. We love those dudes. They're great guys. Super fun to play with. I feel like we have something, I don't want to say it's not so much in common, but we seem to be shooting for the same thing. And it's always nice to run into someone else that's got that same kind of attitude about it that you do. After that, we're going over to Melodies in West Virginia. And then from there, we're playing the Depot in Maryland. And then the Tuscan, Philadelphia, taking a day of rest. We're going through New Jersey, and then we're going up to Cafe 9 in New Haven, Connecticut, and the final show will be at Kodo in Salem, Massachusetts.
Folks, I said it earlier, please pick up this album. You can actually buy it on their Bandcamp site, too. This is a phenomenal album. This is a new taste of horror punk, as I should say. It's a good album. I really like this. I've been playing a lot of it on the show, actually. Not just one song, the Blob. I've been playing the Blob, but I've been playing others too. So I've just been mixing it up like every other show that I have. I really like this album again. How can folks stay in touch with you all? Buy some merchandise, tour dates, things like that, what you got coming up. How can they do that?
Well, most of what we do it through is our Facebook account. That's the easiest way to get, information out to large groups of people at a time. So if anything happens, it usually goes up there first. We have an Instagram as well. Outside of that, we have a Big Cartel page. You can find that if you Google it, or there's a link for it right on our Facebook site. So if you go there, you can just go right into that. We got some cool merch up right now, glow-in-the-dark T-shirts, the record. We're getting some more stuff coming in. Yeah, being made as we speak, special for this tour.
Yep.
Before I let you guys go, would one of you care to do a promo for the show?
Yeah, sure. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Brendan.
We are Devil in the Belfry.
And you're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Everybody stick around. We got some great music coming up, and you only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. Support the horror punk scene, folks. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.